Wonderful listeners of Living Radio, this just to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're listening from. Right away, as usual, we're going to bring you our program, Nigeria Today. And I'm sure you are going to enjoy this. We're talking about our parliamentarians today. What are we supposed to expect? What is democracy to those of us in Nigeria here? What is democracy to some other African countries? And what is the individual democracy? What do they mean? Now, this is what we're going to look at today. Until then, enjoy yourself. In the next 5 minutes, we'll be back to continue with the program. I remain that your anchor man, friend, and brother, already Chinedum Godson Adiele. Wonderful listeners, I am happy you're there, and I know you've waited so long for your favorite program, Nigeria Today, in our Living Radio 90.9. And I'm sure you know what makes us tick is because Living Radio 90.9 is there, and the Living TV, and also the Living TV Academy, the tripartite nature media house. We are full option, that's what it simply means. And today, in the issues of the moment today, Nigeria Today, we are looking at our parliamentarians, their functions, and how they've been representing the people. And today is Nigeria Today. We are going to draw inferences and an example from a Gambian parliament. A woman who was also elected, like we elect our people here. What happened? How he felt disappointed by the amount of money they share in the parliament. And he openly said it out. Though they never liked him, they never liked her, and so many other persons that supported her, they never liked that. The question becomes, what is democracy? If democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people, that automatically means that even our representatives, that they are there because they have our mandate. Because we voted them to power, that's why they are there. And when they go there, what are they supposed to do? They are equally supposed to represent us, represent our opinions and everything we want them to do. That is what they call quality representation. But unfortunately down here, it looks as if we only vote people who go there to represent themselves, who go there to represent their family and their stomach, being so clannish. And in Nigeria, so many commentators have agreed with us that most of our parliamentarians and our representatives, our politicians here, are just people who are so egocentric, people who are greedy, people who are selfish, people who are very clannish, people who are very nepotic. And that automatically means that we are doing nothing here. Right? I'm going to give you a voice note. For those of you who are following us in our Instagram and YouTube and on our Facebook, you will also watch it live. A woman, a parliamentarian, who was voted into power. And at a point, he became annoyed with the way they were sharing money in that parliament. And he decided to almost resign, except they changed the narrative. But here, recently, we had about 160 million SUV vehicles to our parliamentarians, and 35,000 naira minimum wage has not been implemented. You are going to see what happens. A country that is smaller than Nigeria, and yet we call ourselves the giant of Africa. I want you to watch this. After listening to this, I'll come back also to play something for you. One of the National Assembly members, the chieftain of the National Assembly, who used 800 million naira to host and celebrate a holiday program while people are dying in hunger. Let's hear this.
Looking at the Honorable Minister's statement and looking at the budget, I think that our government does not love this country. They do not have the feeling to nurture our children in this country. Honorable Speaker, $6 billion in salaries alone, not in administrative cost. Honorable Speaker, and we say we are a poor country. Honorable Speaker, the median age in this country is 19 years old. We should consider the life and the livelihood of our children. We should be investing in education. We should be investing in health rather than paying ourselves, feeding ourselves out of the poor people of this country. I will start with this August Assembly, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, to see the salary of the Honorable Speaker increased from 658 million to 658,000 to 1,560,000, I feel ashamed to call myself an honorable member. Honorable Speaker, I gave myself for service. I did not give myself for the poor people to feed me and my family. Honorable Speaker, when I saw this, I felt embarrassed. I did not want to come to this budget session because I said to myself, there is no need, because we are just sharing the cake in our pockets, going home, feeding ourselves. Not only that, but to see the responsibility allowance, the residential allowance, the roving allowance, and all those for the representatives of the people. It is embarrassing for me to go back to my poor constituency and tell them that the meager resources of this country, I am paid that much at your expense. I took an oath, Honorable Speaker, to serve and to give back to my society, not to enrich myself. And even if I go to the Constitution, Honorable Speaker, it says that we shouldn't deliberately enrich ourselves. And increasing our salaries is deliberately enriching ourselves. And that is an embarrassment. I think as a National Assembly, we should not accept any salary increment. It was in this August Assembly that we sat and discussed the salaries of the ministers and denied them, even though they went behind our backs and increased it. That is their problem. We offered ourselves for service, Honorable Speaker. We were not appointed. We were elected and we offered ourselves, Honorable Speaker. And I think we should think of our people when we do the budget. I'm not allowing you to observe me. I don't have that time. When you are on your own feet, observe yourself, please. Thank you. Honorable Speaker, when we go to the office of the President, Honorable Speaker, I have seen new units, ICT units, being established at the office of the President. The office of the President has, I think, whatever they call it, the person that does her public speech or whatever, that lady. Why would he need an order ICT? Why would the Honorable, His Excellency want 6 advisors? How many ministers does he have in addition to the new ministries? If the President is telling us that the ministers are not good enough, I told this August Assembly here last year when we did the budget, if he is implying that his ministers are not good, let him sack them and apply and appoint advisors. The ministers, according to our constitution, should be competent enough to advise him on any policy under their ministries. And if they are not good enough, and if that is what he's implying, that they are not good enough, let him sack them and appoint advisors in their place. But as a poor country, we cannot be paying ministers and be paying advisors and be paying deputy advisors. Come on, we are a poor country. Instead of thinking of ourselves, 6 billion in emoluments alone. Come on. Honorable Speaker, I think we should think of the Gambian people, not our pockets. We say that when you are a politician, your skin starts shining, and I'm starting to believe it. Once you are appointed a minister, before 2 months, you marry a second wife. You start buying homes abroad. Come on, at the expense of who? At the expense of the poor Gambian? No way. Mr. Speaker, I am ashamed to call myself a National Assembly member. To be honest, I did not want to contest again. The only reason I contested was to show them that I can come back to this August Assembly. And I did against all odds, Mr. Speaker. If they want, they can die seeing me at the Assembly, but I would come.
I am sure you listened to that. I am sure you listened to that. So it's still running. There's a member of the National Assembly who was elected just the way we elected our representatives here. He frowned at the way the increment of salaries. He lamented bitterly because the people of Gambia are suffering, and yet they are there increasing their salaries while the average workers in the states, in the local governments are paid peanuts, just like we experience here in Nigeria. You can imagine you're talking about 35,000 naira minimum wage that has not been implemented, and yet 160 million naira for SUV. Is not talking about other allowances that are involved. What a country. The woman lamented bitterly. What are they doing here? They've come to represent the people. He also said something that is true. He said, the moment you become a politician, your skin will be shining. And that is to say that the money meant for the poor people, that is to say that what our politicians do is to impoverish the people while they get themselves empowered with a lot of money, saving money, taking money abroad that their generations cannot finish, while the people, the taxpayers, are suffering, languishing. And that is exactly what you saw there. Those of you who are joining us in our YouTube and Facebook, you're also going to watch this thing live and see the woman who said this. This is not a make-believe. This is a real parliamentarian. This is a real National Assembly member who has a concern for the citizens of our country. And that is why she opened up at the floor. Even when they raised their hands to observe her, she said, no, nobody will observe me during your own turn. Say whatever you want to say. That is a shame to be a member of the National Assembly, that he goes back to his constituency and see people dying of hunger while they come to the National Assembly to share money and drive big cars while members are dying of hunger. That is why in Living Radio, we'll always keep you posted. We'll always bring the world first to you. How many of our National Assembly members can stand up to this task and say, no, 160 million, no. We have innocent. I'm not sure innocent is up to 50 million. We have innocent vehicles and we have other vehicles that are here. Why are you using? And the senator had to stand up and tell the pressmen that yes, the essence of that 160 million SUV is simply because we have a bad road in Nigeria. Whose duty is it to fix the bad roads? So, Nigerians, it is high time we have a rethink. Even those of you who are in the House of Assembly here, State House of Assembly here, they were voted and elected. The governor in the state, they were voted and elected by the people. How far? How are the people faring? How are their salaries paid? Has the minimum wage been implemented? That is exactly what that woman is saying. A member of a National Assembly who has the mandate of the people. Those of you who are representing us in the state houses of assembly, the National Assembly, the president, the governors, the House of Assemblies, even the local government chairman. Why are you worried? Why are you always after your stomach and money? That is exactly what that woman is saying. I hope you're going to watch YouTube and then also see it live, how it is played live. I want you to see it. And that is why we'll keep going around the world and be bringing you what is happening. That is why we are better. We are not here to paint words. We are really here to give you facts And that's exactly that. And after now, we are going to, after we are going to go on a very short break. And when I come back, we are going to take you on a member of the same National Assembly in Nigeria here who held a birthday party that cost about 800 million naira. You are going to watch that also. If you're going to follow us on our YouTube and Instagram, you'll see it and watch it live. We will also play it here. And this one, you may not get the audio right here in the studio because they covered it with music. But you see how our money is lavished. Talking about this, would you know that even the National Assembly leader has more than 50 staff, about 50 staff? The taxpayers' money. And that is exactly what we are talking about. Shortly before the arrival of this nascent administration, they had agreed that they were going to cost down, they were going to cost on governance. But what are we seeing today? Borrowing, Nigeria will be owing to the tune of 113.4 trillion naira. I'm not sure what generation can afford this. I'll be back. Don't go away. Right, wonderful listeners, I'm glad you're still there. You're listening to your favorite station, the Living Radio 90.9. We are back, like I said. That is one thing I've always believed in life while growing up. That life is not computed by its duration, but by its donation. It doesn't really matter how long one lives here on planet Earth, but what you're able to put down in the footprint of life as legacy. I think that is why the age of Methuselah has nothing to do with the wisdom of Solomon. Jesus Christ lived for 33 years, but worked for only 3 years. And today, his name is all over the place. His name is all over the world. What about you? What will you be remembered for? That you once represented Nigeria, you were once House of Assembly. What will you be remembered for? Except for the mansion and your sons and daughters who you sent abroad. Have you once asked yourself this question? Those of them whose name we had even before now, how many of them, how many of their names are still rolling through their children? Because when you have wasted all the resources that would have gone for others, you leave it for your children, they will only come up to waste it. And that ends it. There are so many big names in this town today. I don't want to mention them, that their names are nowhere to be found anywhere. Even in Nigeria, you know some of them, even in the southeast here. Those who have their names and leaders. Because whoever that destroys in order to succeed will meet destruction at the door of his success. That is why it is important. As we speak today, those of you who are going to follow us on our Instagram and in our YouTube, you are going to watch what we're telling you live. That a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria spent about 800 million naira for a birthday party. And it was hosted in a stadium. It happened on the 9th of December. And that singular man has about 50 staff. What are all they doing for? You heard what the woman said from Gambia, the National Assembly member from Gambia. He said, why, since you have all the ministers, why appointing so many other special assistants, personal assistants, senior special assistants? What are their duties for duplicating? That is like having a cabal, a clique meant to devour our common patrimony without letting it get to the people who voted us. That's exactly what she said. And then we are going to look at this. We are going to look at the other one because it has no audio. But those of you who are going to join us in our program in the YouTube, you will watch it live. I remain your anchor man, Chinedum Kotson Adiele. I'll be back again. Meanwhile, enjoy the rest of your day with our music coming your way, 90.9 Living Radio. Enjoy your day.
It's a couple of fully hard, now we did. Mercy to see you weekend, now we did. If you go to back for I need you ever go, but there's no love from us. You don't got no choice. If you go to package, I need you ever go, but there's security confirm, the man who do not you know, the man I mess with, but I need to find it, the man I'm